Guys, this video is brought to you by Skillshare, the online learning community with thousands of awesome classes. Now, the first 1,000 people who click the link down below can access Skillshare for free for 2 months, full membership. Now, more details to come. Let's talk about one of the most important aspects of playing the guitar: changing chords smoothly. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 tips on how to improve your chord changes. We're going to be using the fingerstyle technique as well as the circle of fifths to create beautiful and effective exercises that can improve your chord changes. The circle of fifths is a tool that gives you all the natural and altered notes in a circle. We call it circle of fifths because the distance between these notes is always a perfect fifth. The first note is the C, and then from the C we're going to move up a perfect fifth up, so we will have the note G. From the G we're going to move a perfect fifth up, so we're going to have the note D. Then we have the A, the E, the B, the F sharp, also called G flat, the C sharp or D flat, the G sharp or the A flat, the D sharp or the E flat, the A sharp or the B flat, the F, and then we go back to the note C. Now, the reason why we're using the circle of fifths is because we need a system that forces us to use chords that don't belong to the same key. This is excellent for developing your ear training as well as muscle memory. We have a lot to cover, so let's just jump right in. Now, the first 3 tips will cover the left hand technique, so I want to make sure that you practice these chords with the correct left hand position. And then from tip 4, we are going to tackle a lot of different exercises. Tip number 1, keep the thumb down like a classical guitar player. One of the first steps to improve your chord changes is to lower your thumb like this. Keep it in the middle. By lowering the thumb, you will instantly improve the control and stretch of your fingers. As you become better with the chord changes, you will then be able to bring the thumb up to mute some of the bottom strings, but also to use the thumb to play some of the bass notes of a chord, for example, the F major chord. However, if you are a beginner or you just want to improve your chord changes, make sure that you keep the thumb down. Tip number 2, keep the space between the palm and the bottom neck. Now, this should come naturally if you lower the thumb. There should always be space between the palm and the bottom neck. Now, this position improves the stability of your hand. When your palm is stuck to the bottom neck like this, it brings a lot of tension to the muscle and tendons. So when you try to change the chords, it takes twice the energy and twice the time because the fingers are already under stress. But when you lower the thumb, you have way more control and stretch between the fingers. Tip number 3, press the notes with your fingertips. Make sure that you press down the string with the fingertip. Now, this is kind of straightforward, and I'm sure you already know that. The problem is sometimes when you practice chord changes, it can happen that your fingers go all over the place and you end up pressing down the strings with the wrong side of the finger. For example, like this. For a D major chord, you will be pressing down with the index flat like this. So you can't really play the top E string correctly. So make sure that you always lower the thumb, keep the space between the palm and the bottom neck so that you can press down the strings with the fingertip. And when you change chord, you will beautifully and smoothly press down the frets. Moving on to tip number 4, learn the chords in fifths. We already learned the notes that make up the circle of fifths. Now we're gonna play the major chords following this progression. So we're gonna have the C, the G major, the D major, A major, E major, B major, F sharp major, C sharp major, G sharp major, D sharp major, A sharp major, F major. Now we are playing the full chord, so the goal here is to just memorize the progression of notes. You can either lightly strum the chords or you can pluck them. But keep it very simple. Don't worry too much about how long it takes to change the chord. Just familiarize yourself with the progression of notes. Tip number 5, focus on the fretted notes. With the fingerstyle technique, we can decide which notes of the chord we want to play. Now in this example, we're going to play only the fretted notes of each chord. So for the C major, we're only going to play the 3 fretted notes, the C, the E, and the C again. For the G major, just the G, the D, and the G. D major, A major, just the 3 fretted notes. E major, B major, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, and back to the C. The reason why we want to focus on the fretted notes is because we're going to move these chords in different positions. Today's video is brought to you by Skillshare, the online learning community with thousands of awesome classes. Now, I have been talking about Skillshare for a while and I've been using it for a while. I learned how to use Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro, which are the softwares that I use the most. Now, the awesome thing about Skillshare is the fact that you can log in and have access to a lot of different courses, not just about music. In fact, guys, you have classes about photography, animation, film and video, business, lifestyle, and productivity. So you can learn a lot of different things in just one place. The last class that I took, super interesting, is called Do Things, Tell People, the Power of Personal Branding, which is something that you want to know and you want to develop, especially when you use social media and YouTube a lot. Now you can access Skillshare for free for 2 months, full membership. Make sure that you check the link down below. The first 1,000 people who click on the link will have it for free for 2 months. And then if you like it, you can sign up for less than $10 a month. So thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Tip number 6, move the chords symmetrically. If we focus on the fretted notes of the chord, we can move them symmetrically up and down the neck, following the circle of fifths. So I could play the C major like this, then the G, then the D, A, E, B, F sharp, and C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, and back to the C. Now this is going to improve not only the chord change but also the chord shape. By repeating the same chord shape in different positions, you will naturally improve the muscle memory for this particular chord. You can do it with the shape of D, with the shape of A, with the shape of G, with the shape of B, and with the shape of F. So for example, I could do the shape of G, starts with the C major chord, so I will do C, G, D major, A major, E major, B major, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, back to the C. Tip number 7, move different shapes symmetrically. We can obviously combine 2 or more shapes and move them symmetrically up and down. For example, I could play C and G, and then follow the circle of fifths using the same 2 shapes. C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, and back to the C. I could do it with 3 chords, C, G, D. Now I'm gonna have the A played with the C shape, so A, E, and B major. You see, we are sharing the same shapes. and A, E, B. Then we have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, and back to the C. Tip number 8, bring it down to just 2 notes. We can practice chord changes step by step by deciding to play just 2 notes of a chord. We could start with just the root note of each chord. So I could play C major, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, and back to the C. Tip number 9, add the 3rd and the 5th to each chord. Once you're able to play the chords with just the root note, you can then add the 3rd and the 5th to the chords. So for the C major, I could add the note E, which is the major 3rd. For the G major, I will add the note B, which is the major 3rd, and so on. For the A major, E major, B major, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, and back to the C major. You can then add the 5th to the chord and complete the triad. C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F, and back to the C. Tip number 10, repeat the same process with the minor chords. Playing the same exercises with the minor chords following the circle of fifths is definitely more challenging just because D minor chords have less open positions. In fact, we can only play 3 chords in open position: the D minor, the A minor, and the E minor. All the other chords will definitely have at least a bar chord or 4 fretted notes, like the C minor chord, the F minor chord, the G minor chord, the B minor chord. So I would recommend that you start by practicing the basic chords following the circle of fifths. There will be a lot of bar chords, so it's going to be way more challenging. C minor, G minor, D minor and A minor is easy, E minor, B minor, F sharp minor, C sharp minor, G sharp minor, D sharp minor, A sharp minor, F minor, and back to the C. Now guys, it's important to practice these chords and then just go back to your songs, go back to your beautiful chord progressions and play them without thinking too much. So you should always really focus on all these different chords and different ways of playing them when you practice the exercises with the circle of fifths. Then once you're done with that, just play your chords without thinking. Now I'm going to leave you to practice this, guys. Make sure that you take it step by step. All the chords and diagrams are available on my Patreon page.